Now that we've reviewed a little on how to solve, I want to look at word problems again because I think they might be a little bit better now this time, now that we kind of are back in the groove of math and hopefully knowing how to solve again. And so here's some tips that I have for you for today where the word problems are worded a little differently. We're not going to necessarily solve them the exact same way that we did the last time when we saw them in chapter 1, but we could still use the same kind of skills that helped us to get started with them. So the first one I have is we want to remember our keywords that we learned back in chapter 1. Some of them I listed here: of, more than, less than, to help us take the sentences that we're reading in the word problems and turn them into equations to help us begin to solve the problems. And again, you want to pick one variable, so x, y, a, b, whatever's going to make sense the problem to you. And it doesn't matter, but just make sure that you label whatever letter you're gonna use. And so I put an example here. So if we were talking about finding a number, maybe you'll put let x equal the number we're trying to find. Or if we were trying to figure out maybe the time it takes Adrian to water the plants, let y equal the time it takes Adrian to water the plants. So please label whatever letter you're going to use. Just tell me what it's going to stand for. And an important thing here is to remember that whatever letter you choose or whatever you're going to identify to match up with the letter, it should match up with whatever you're solving for. Okay, so the two things whatever you're solving for should be the name of what you're labeling the variable. Okay. Number 3, I'm reminding you again to remember what you're solving for. So sometimes I may not ask you, or the book may not ask you to tell me some details. So just make sure you know what you're solving for so you don't have to do more work if you don't have to. And the last thing is to use the solving techniques we learned in the last few days to get a final answer. So I really think that it's going to be better this time, now that we've done a little more math and we're more involved now in school and in our course. Okay, so let's look at some practice problems using some of the tips I gave you. So 6 less than 5 times a number is 74. And what are we trying to find? I'm going to underline it for us. Okay, I'm going to underline it for us here. We are trying to find a number, okay? So let's call whatever number we're trying to find, let's call that n. And I'm going to label it for my reader. And I'm going to call it, n's going to equal the number, whatever number we're trying to find. Okay, so n's going to equal the number we're trying to find. Okay, so what do we know about this number? We know that this number is 6 less. Okay, so 6 less number is 6 less than 5 times. So 5 times a number is 5n, and that equals 74. So I have 6 less than 5 times a number is 74. Why did I put 75 here? 74. Sorry. See, even I'm making a little bit of mistakes here, so there we go. Let me zoom out here. I don't know why I did that. Oops. Okay, there we go. And now all we have to do is find that number, so let's solve. So I have 5n minus 6 equals 74. Let's add 6 over. What happens to these 6's? They end up going away. So I end up with 5n equals 74 plus 6 is 80. Remember, to get rid of this 5, I'm going to divide both sides. Okay. And when I divide 5 into 80, I get 16. So the number is 16. Okay. Let's look at number 2. Same idea, so let's start to piece this out what we can. Okay, so again, it's asking me to find a number. So I'm going to let n equal the number I'm trying to find, and I'm letting my reader know what n is going to equal. Okay. Now let's try and break this down. Now the sentence. So I have 8 less. Okay, 8 less is minus 8. 8 less then 1/2 a number. So 1/2 a number would be, that is negative 44. So it looks like that. Okay, so to get rid of this, or to start solving for n, I'm gonna move the 8 over by adding it. And so what happens to these 8s? They end up canceling out, and negative 44 plus 8 is actually going to give me negative 36, and I end up here still 1/2 n. And how do I get rid of this 1/2 again? Remember, since it's a fraction being multiplied, I'm going to do reciprocal on both sides. Okay. So reciprocal on both sides, these guys end up going away. I'm going to continue this problem right there. So n equals, and then I have negative 36, we'll put it over 1. So negative 36 times 2 is going to give me negative 72. 1 times 1 is 1, which is not really necessary for me to write there. So my number that I found is negative 72. Hope this is a little bit easier for you than the last time. If not, write your questions down. I want to go over them with you if you have some questions, okay? Now I'm using a regular problem now. So I have Serena has read 143 pages of the 251 pages in the book. If she reads 12 pages a day, how long will it take her to finish the book? So what are we trying to find here? We're trying to find how long it will take her to finish the book. So let's say since we're dealing with time, let's say t. So t is going to be time it takes to finish the book. Okay, so what can we put together here? So we definitely know she's read 143 pages, and there's 251 pages total. Okay, so another thing that I know is she's read 12 pages a day. So if she's read 12 pages a day, if the time it takes is t, it will be however long she's been taking times the 12 pages. And we know she's already read 143, so we're going to add that to there, equals the total, 251. So the time she's taken over the last 12 days plus the 143 she's already covered for sure equals the total amount in the book. Okay, one more time. So we have this 12 and the t together because we know she's read 12 pages. The time it's taken her is 12 pages a day, and the t is kind of representing our time. Okay, so 12t plus 143 equals 251, and the 251 is here because, again, that's the total number of pages in the whole book, and 143 is how many she's already read. Okay, so let's solve for how long it's taken her. So I'm going to minus 143 on both sides. Okay, these guys go away. 251 minus 143 is going to give me 108. And then I still have a 12t over here. To get rid of that 12t, I am going to divide both sides by 12. And believe it or not, 12 goes into 108 9 times. So the time it's taking her is 9 days. So let's look at number 4. And I actually started it and then I realized that I had a little typo here. So let's read though. So find 4 consecutive integers whose sum is 102. So this is a 102 here. And I'm going to circle this consecutive integers because that's really what is the different thing about this. And so what I want to look at is the word consecutive. So let's say I started with maybe like the number 2, for example. Consecutive, you remember, is just meaning that right after each other, right? So if consecutive means right after each other, what would be the number that's consecutive to 2? Or the number that's right after 2? It's 3, right? And the number that's consecutive to 3 would be 4. And the number consecutive to 5 Oh, sorry, I already gave you the answer. And the number consecutive to 4 would be 5, right? And how would you get from here to here? How would you get from 2 to 3? You would add 1, right? And how about from 3 to 4? Add 1. 4 to 5? Add 1. So basically, to get from one number to the next consecutive one, you would be adding 1. So if I gave you a generic thing here, and I wanted you to get to the next consecutive number, I would basically get from here to here, I'd have to add 1, right? So it would be, agree, to get from 2 to 3, it's 2, plus 1 is 3, so it would be the first number, plus 1 would be the next, okay? Then to get from here to here, you would add 1 to that, so it'd be x plus 2. Then to get to this last number, I'd add 1 to what I have already, x plus 3. And if you don't believe me, let's sub in 2 for all these x's. So if x is 2, if I plug in 2 here, 2 plus 1 is 3 for my second number, which is true. 2 plus 2 is 4 for my third number, which is 4. And 2 plus 3 is 5 for my second number, or for my fourth number, which is good, okay? So I want 4 consecutive integers, which I've given you right here, okay? So I'm going to call x my integer, okay? And here's how I'm going to set this up. So since it says sum, I know I'm going to be adding them together. So my first number is x, plus my second number, which is x plus 1, plus my third number, which is x plus 2, plus my fourth number, which is x plus 3, and we know their sum is 102. So now I'm just collecting like terms now. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 x's, and I have 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6, equals 102, okay? And so how do I get x by itself now? I gotta bring that I gotta bring this 6 over, so I'm gonna subtract 6. So that value is gonna give me, well, first this side cancels out, and then 102 minus 6 is gonna give me 96. And then I still have a 4x on that other side. Remember, to get rid of that 4, divide both sides by 4. And I end up with x equals, how many times does 96 go into 4? 24 times. So x equals 24. So can I stop there? Remember, x is just my first number, but how many numbers do I have to find? I have to find 4, right? So if x is my first number, so if my first number is 24, what does my next one have to be if I want 4 consecutives? My next guy has to be 25. My third one has to be 26. And my last one has to be 27. And now you've given me 4 consecutive integers. But when you add them up, you're going to get 102. Okay? So don't forget to take the quiz.